Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to the Soul Citizens. I'm GriffinGamingRPG, and we are back for another week of discussion, good conversation with you, wow, Abdi.
Getting started.
Abdi, you caught me off guard there, but thank you for
Getting started
that.
early.
That's an awesome way to kick us off here. Abdi was already talking about it was his anniversary. How many months did you say it was for you at this point?
It says I'm on a 9-month streak, but I've been subscribed for 10 months. 10 months, almost to a year.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Well, thank you for that. We appreciate it. So maybe I don't even have to introduce at this point. We have Abdi with us today. AbdiYohan. Abdi, how are you?
I'm good, man. How's it going?
Good. It's been a little while. How's the Rakazag?
Oh, thank you, Tauska.
Boy,
Hey, thank you.
Already starting. I tell you, can't wait.
Thanks for the subscription.
Thank you.
There he is.
How's your little one doing?
Oh, she's good. She just hit 8 months on Friday, so she's getting big. She's eating solids now. She loves rotisserie chicken, and I couldn't be more proud.
Nice.
How time flies. I mean, that's scary to think. I remember when she was born, and it's like, wow,
right?
Now you're talking about 8 months. Jeez, oh Pete, that's amazing.
It's crazy.
They grow so
cool,
fast, don't they?
but very
true.
cool.
This is true.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, we're glad to hear that. To my other co-host here, DK Dark Knight 75.
Yes.
How are you, my brother? How are you?
Doing good. Had a nice weekend. My son was on spring break. We got a new bed for him. Set it up. It was fun weekend we had. Fun week, he and I. So glad to be here with Abdi and you.
Yes, absolutely. And guys, forgive me. My camera, I'm noticing I am seriously blown out, but it is because we had a power outage literally 15 minutes before the show started, which is why we started a little bit late. So please forgive my camera being crazy. And I always tell Fast Cart, don't talk about technicals, but this is driving me crazy looking at myself washed out like that.
I'm like looking at myself now. I'm like, come on.
No,
now,
you're good, man. And compared to me, geez, so Pete, I look like I don't know. Anyway, it's good to see everybody. Thank you guys for being here with us again. For many of you, this is Easter Sunday, Easter weekend. A Resurrection Sunday for some folks. So thank you guys for making time to be here with us. And we are going to be talking about a topic we titled Green Acres, Agri-Farming. We made that title up. That is not a CIG title. So don't go looking for ISC on Agri-Farming. We're just trying to have a discussion about the combination of, as you could probably figure, agriculture and farming. And, what we will see in Star Citizen. Me and the guys were talking ahead of time about the fact that CIG has alluded, and they have talked about some type of bio career such as farming, and they've alluded to it several times in relation to bases. And of course, many of you are familiar with the ship the Endeavor, and so we're going to do a little bit of exploration of what CIG has said, and probably a lot of theory crafting and ideas of this stuff. These two guys are younger than me, so I have to ask them a question. Abdi, I'm gonna start with you because I think you're the younger of the two. Are you familiar with the TV series Green Acres?
Oh yeah.
Okay, brother. Okay, all right. DK, you're familiar, right? DK's got enough grade he knows. Okay, so I just want to make sure because FC was a little worried about whether or not I went back too far in the clock, and that people wouldn't know what the heck Green Acres was. And I was like,
through the magic of reruns,
right? Yeah, syndicated TV.
Right.
So my thing was, well, if they don't know, that's cool. It'll still emphasize what we're talking about. And I think in light of Update 3.17 introducing rivers, that now we can start maybe seeing a real purpose for farming and things like agriculture as time goes by. So we're going to jump right into it. Thank you guys again for joining us today. We see all of you wonderful people out there. So thank you. Let's jump into it. The very first question, sometimes when we take on these topics, we kind of make sure that everybody's on the same ground when it comes to understanding the definition of terms. And one of the ones that I looked up was the word agriculture, because we hear it all the time, but is real world agriculture going to be the same thing that we look at from an in-game aspect, or will we just take certain aspects of it and put it into game? So the definition that I was able to find said agriculture is a deliberate modification of a planet or a moon surface, mind you, before that said Earth, so I just want you to know that, through cultivation of plants and rearing of animals to obtain sustenance or economic gain. So in so many words, that's saying what, Abdi? You can either produce food for yourself or produce food to do what? Sell it, right? That's pretty much it.
Yep.
Okay.
Commodities.
Okay. So the two terms they talked about is to be able to cultivate, to take care of, and then the crops, right? A crop is any type of plant that's been cultivated by people. In other words, a deliberate area where growing is happening, and not just some random area of stuff. Agriculture began when humans first domesticated plants and animals for their use. So I just kind of wanted to kick off with that, okay, at the very beginning. Let me get rid of this so I can have that definition up there for folks. This is what we're going to take as our base for agriculture, okay? Let's move on to the second one, because these are just kind of just to get our audience on page with us. The next one would be, what is the purpose of farming? Farming is for your own consumption, right? These are some of the things they say it's for. A little bit of the surplus could be sold, if you make enough for yourself, and then whatever you got extra, you could sell it. There might not be any surplus because of the growing conditions, right? Products can be grown for sale, and they can be sold to processing companies. Let me ask you guys, I'm gonna stop on this with farming. Do you see any type of gameplay mechanic that could come out of this if we're allowed to grow things, have our own homestead, and maybe start a crop or animals? Let me go with Dark Knight first, since he was the last one I hit. Do you see any gameplay in any of these areas that we've got listed there?
100%. There's always gameplay when it comes to something like this, because we have to feed the stations. We got to feed the areas, I'm trying to think of the cities, the outpost, the settlements, and things like that. All of those need. And we're already getting to the point where we're seeing quantum come into play, or quanta. And so that's going to have a variation on what supplies we have. Hey, thanks for the
Raymar. Hey, it's good to see
Raymar.
Thank you.
But it's, we've seen in quantum with fuel prices and things like that. It's all changing. And then also with commodities, they're all going to change. Well, food prices are going to change, and food stocks and inventory are going to change because they're going to need food. So just like we need to deliver fuel to stations so that they can fuel up ships, we're going to need to deliver food so that we can eat. I just thought of it. We already have the food supplies that you could buy from the at the commodities on some of these outposts. I'd imagine that would turn into you creating a farm and selling or delivering your food products to, say, one of those outposts so that they can distribute it among the different stations. A whole lake can come pick up the stock and go take it up to Port Treslick. It's just, but there is gameplay. Absolutely.
So let me ask this question then, DK, and then I'll throw the same question to Abdi. Right now, we do get those missions where it's like, pick up this food from this location and deliver it to here, right? It might be, what's the farms called? One of those
Shady Glen
farms, right?
Yep.
Do you think that maybe they'll actually make that where it comes to players? Like, in other words, will it be a situation where players have to take it and then take it to one of those locations, or will there actually be missions that, go to Dark Knight farms, and pick up something from him? I mean, do you think I think that would be kind of cool. I don't know if they could ever build a mechanic that would monitor what you're growing, but I am curious.
I agree. I think it would be really cool if they could do something like that. If anybody's played Minecraft before, farming is a big thing.
Yep.
And you, as on a multiplayer server running a farm, you might sell the items to go to other people to make sure that they can eat, and they give you money, gold or diamonds or something like that. I'm sure some of you would understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, there should be like a transfer of the commodities, whether I get it from the outpost, whether the outpost is a mission and sends somebody else to come get it from me. It's definitely full of gameplay opportunity. It's just a matter of when we see how they're going to put it together, really.
Okay. Abdi, I'm gonna jump to you. Same question. Where do you see as far as game mechanic in that list there? Is there something that strikes you that, this would be kind of cool to be able to do?
Yeah, I guess it kind of goes to what DK was touching on with, especially with Quanta, with Tony Z wanting there to be like an ecosystem. There's like an ecosystem within Star Citizen through Quanta. but there's also the ecosystem of like, you know, or not the ecosystem, but the loop, the gameplay loop of, you know, what farming could be. So it's like the ecosystem of Quanta and then our gameplay loop meets up, and where that meets up, I think that there's quite a lot of potential. So you could do something where, you know, as it is right now, when we are not that connected to our farmers, like the farmers in America. We get our packaged goods. You know, some people go to farmers markets and stuff like that, which is great. But what I could see more happening is that, you know, there's the middleman, and that's kind of where that Quanta, like it might look like a corporation, you know, a big manufacturing, you know, building or something like that, or Outpost or something. You do your farming, you bring your stuff there, and then they contact the like cargo haulers or something like that. But that's kind of the point where everything gets digitized into Quanta, and you start getting your values of like, this is how much we have here, this is how much we have there, so that we get that kind of ecosystem thing going with us connected into it. So I could definitely see this working in game. It's just about, you know, people are going to ask when.
Don't ask that question, right?
Don't ask that question.
Yeah. That's some good stuff. That's good stuff. Hey, Elysiana, good to see you.
Hey, Elysiana.
That's awesome. In fact, Elysiana says, deciding if more profitable to seek farmed goods as raw produce to other players versus packages and sell NPCs require lots of strategy. I'm you know, one of the things I'm hoping, I know this is the frustrating part about things, you guys have heard me say this before, that when we look at the career of mining, we see that CIG has kind of started with a very basic conception of it and created more detail and more depth to it as time goes on. And they have said that they're not going to have every career super, super deep, right? But I do hope that they do create a certain multi-level aspect of this, so it's not just me growing, right? But, you know, something as simple as putting the plants in the ground and they pop up. But maybe there is some extra things that take place in the growing process, and then taking it to market process, right? Whether that's the fact that I store my, you know, they've showed us that they're going to have silos and things like that in storage areas. Maybe there's a thing that says if I punch in that I've stored 5,000 units of something here, that the game with Quanta recognizes that there's 5,000 units stored at that location, you know. Or if it can't be that advanced, it just lets me store it, and then I go ahead and have somebody who transports that to a place where it would be recognized once it goes in, because we know that right now with many of those bases, purchasing and selling is being monitored. You know, what goes out is being tracked. So if they could do that on a personal level at your personal farm, oh my God, I would think that would be like amazing if they could do that.
That would be huge.
Yeah, I think that would
be. You can put modifiers on all that. Like let's say you want to grow your crop faster, or you want it to have a higher yield. You know, I feel like if you can kind of start thinking about how things can get modified, they can turn that into like a value in terms of something where you buy this, it increases your yield, or it increases your stock, and adds more to the gameplay element of it, which would be very cool.
Yes. It would
Pops in Space mentioned agriculture as one of the first parts of a barter system, and that's kind of true, because the first thing you're going to need is food. And so trade food. I'll trade you, you know, this stack of whatever, you know, for whatever you got. That's how it works.
Well, think about the system of Pyro, right? That we're all about to go enter into. Pyro ain't got no green grassy planets floating around where people can, you know, go out and grow stuff. So food has got to be imported in, probably more than anything else there, food and water, right? So there's a commodity. That's a huge commodity. People have always been talking about minerals and stuff like that. But yeah, people have got to eat. And our people aren't going to jump from a system just to go get food. You know what I'm saying? So you're absolutely right. Now, that could be a huge barter system, you know, when you're coming in and dropping off a load of whatever it is, for an org or a group that's there, so that they don't have to be worried about navigating and going through wormholes and all that other good stuff. You know, there's a lot of
Imagine how much you could charge going to a system that has no opportunity to grow. And you could go there and sell away, and the prices go up because there's no other choice for those. That's awesome.
The layers of complexity just get so crazy to think about, because then you think about protecting your goods and protecting, you know, like, or where you store your goods, or you know, who you're paying to help you, you know, navigate these wormholes, and you know, what happens if you get in a turf war with someone who's selling here or there. It's just like,
Yeah.
It could get complicated both like gameplay wise, but it could also get complicated in a way where we are creating the complication as players, which I think is very cool. I like that.
Yeah. And one of the things that, you guys have heard me say this before about when we play Star Wars Galaxy, the thing that I like about this is that for some people, no interest, right? They ain't thinking about farming. Their whole thing is combat or trade or mercenary work or whatever. And that's fine. What I like about this is that this creates something for people who are into that. There will be some people who, man, dude, they're going to set up their crib and that's where they're going to be. Just like there are going to be some people who are going to get in their constellation and that's where they're going to be, So I love the fact that there's flexibility for the player who, they don't mind going into space to go drop off their stuff, right? But they're going to provide, they found their niche. They found their place where they can market, make money in the game and feel very productive in the game. So I'm looking forward to that. Let's jump to number 3 real quick here. And that's the use of machinery. I'm not going to get to a big elaborate piece on this, but I do want to kind of mention it because true enough, machinery is necessary in time with farming, right? I mean, in the beginning, you got the horse and plow, but whether you're going to have the space cow and the plow, I don't know what you're going to have. Hey, Lefty, thank you for that sub, brother. We appreciate you.
Thanks for the subscription.
There will be some type of, we've already seen that some of the agricultural farms like Shady Glen, some of those places you go inside, there's machinery that's in there. And CIG has shown us that they're building these props, whether they're reactors, whether they're storage tanks, whatever they are, that they said that we will be able to purchase. In fact, I was looking at the Q&A for the Pioneer the other day, and someone asked a question about, will the Pioneer be able to make certain types of equipment? And what they said was maybe not in the beginning, but these will be things that you would go someplace and order and purchase. So I can imagine that there will be certain types of equipment, horticulture equipment, whether it's scientific or whether it's agricultural, things like that, that you'll be able to buy and be able to bring back. And hey, thank you, Flippy Wayne. Flippy,
thanks for the follow and the subscription.
All of my test compadres are dropping in. Thank you guys. We appreciate the support.
Hey, that's awesome.
All right.
Yep. So that was the only thing I really want to say about machinery. Unless you guys want to say something, I'm not going to make a big deal about it because they have never talked about machinery as far as I know of. But if you guys got any 2 cents on it,
I mean, the only thing to say is that I feel like this is one way that you could introduce modifiers into the game, like just kind of the way that they're doing it right now with mining. I feel like that's such a good comparison, just because that's something we have in game right now that we can kind of see how they're building out.
Yeah.
And mining is basically space rocks that you just can't grow, like
right.
So, adding the little mining attachments that you can put onto the rocks now, like little things like that make mining easier, but cost you something. Or you can do it the old-fashioned way, or like the low-tech way, and see how far you can get. Like that's all the kind of complexity that they could bring to farming too. Like, do you want to get the crazy, John Deere tractor thing, or do you want to go out there with your mining tool attachment, farming tool attachment, and start harvesting that way yourself and save some money? But I feel like there's just so much potential with it that what they're doing with mining, we can kind of see how maybe it would grow.
There was I couldn't find it about within the last 2 months. CIG did a piece on farming and agriculture. Do you guys remember they showed these greenhouses? They showed the concept images of it. And I was thinking about what you said, DK, about when you have that moon or that planet that is naturally not able to house. But if you were to get those greenhouses and you could create temperature control, climate control within them, that now you could set those up on some planet that maybe under any other circumstance is inhospitable to the growth of those type of planets, right? So like you said, Abdi, when you start bringing in this type of equipment, and see, this gets into a whole nother line of things. I'm always kind of blown away because people will look at ships like the C2 and this, and they'll say, oh yeah, I can do my trading and blah, 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 blah. But I remember when we watched that Hercules commercial, they were doing like a delivery relief mission. Remember that? They were dropping off supplies and stuff. I don't know if people have thought about that. When you want to bring that reactor or those solar panels or whatever, those are the ships that you will also be utilizing or hiring people, right, to bring that stuff to deliver to your homestead or your farm. Right. So it's another aspect of gameplay that might take place, because maybe I don't own a C2 being a farmer, but I'm going to contact Abdi and say, hey man, can I hook you up? I'll pay you real good to come into Pyro and he'll be like, yeah, you got to pay me real good to come into power. I mean, you get it, right?
You got to pay me that. I need an escort, man. I need someone to bring me there safely so I don't show up in multiple pieces.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, cool.
And speaking of machinery too, there's also the idea of having a drone or a couple drones that are actually doing some of the farming for you and taking care of your crops. So there's always that. Automation, right?
Yeah.
This is where like my Stardew Valley people come. Like, I mean, I don't play it that much anymore, but like that's one thing with Stardew Valley that I feel like is such a good farming game, like light kind of thing, where you can get analogies from that, and like part of the farming progression, like when you've made it, is when you've automated things so that you don't have to like hand pick every single thing yourself. It's just happening automatically.
Absolutely.
Going back to Minecraft, if anybody remembers, building massive automated farms is a big accomplishment. It's a big accomplishment, and it's fun to do. And once you get it done, you're set with commodities for days, for the entire time you're playing. It's great. So I can see that.
Very cool. Okay. All right, let's hop on to our next topic here. This one is a little bit of, we got to go back and maybe do some reflection on this one. And obviously, if you're going to have a farm or do agriculture, I'm not talking about in the scientific space, because I know we can do some things in the science space. We're going to talk about the endeavor later, but we are going to talk about the ownership of land. And there's three areas of how I've looked at land. I broke these into three categories. Land that could be privately owned and managed by a player, land that may be owned by an org, and the leadership assigns individual patches to the members, right, to take care of or to live on. And then there could be land that maybe gets sublet to other organizations. So you may have an org that just honestly has so much land they don't need it all, but there's somebody else who doesn't have any certificate. Okay, you know what? Kind of like a king with a little kingdom around it. You know what I mean? We'll protect you and stuff, but you guys do the work and pitch in and blah 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 blah. Smaller orgs may start out that way. That way they also get things like protection, right? And a whole bunch of other benefits that might come out of that. What do you guys think about saying? By the way, for those of you, before I let these guys talk about it, some of you all maybe remember when they were doing land sales. This is one of the certificates that you would get if you bought land. At the time, I think this was like 2017 when the Pioneer came out, land was sold for $50 for a 4x4 kilometer, 4,000 kilometer, or 4 kilometer by 4 kilometer square. Or if you didn't have that, you could get an 8 kilometer by 8 kilometer square. And if I'm not mistaken, and if I'm remembering correctly, the price for that was $50 for the 4x4 and $100 for the 8x8. So just, and that pops up every once in a while. Yeah, I know. No Roboto, 4 acres and a mule. I know. That's what you get for the money. They didn't even throw the mule in.
Somebody's going, right?
Yeah, they didn't even throw the mule in at that time. Yeah. So guys, talk to me about that. How do you guys see this thing with land? First of all, were you all fortunate enough to grab any land, or did you miss it?
Missed out.
You missed it. Now, let me ask you this.
This was during
hopefully it comes up again.
The year where I stopped playing Star Citizen.
Okay, so you weren't here, and DK, you weren't here either, right?
I wasn't here.
Okay,
right.
All right, so you're lucky. Okay, you're lucky. Because there are a lot of people, I was one of them. When the land came up and the Pioneer came up, I thought it was cool. In fact, if you bought the Pioneer, they gave you an 8x8 if you bought the Pioneer, right? So that was like $100, right there. And I remember saying, man, because I think the Pioneer was like $7 bills, right? I'm like, I have $700. And I was like, you know what? I was like, the land will come back up. I'll get the land again.
Hasn't come back up yet.
The only time that land came back up was when the Pioneer went on sale, and only went on sale 2 more times since 2017, if I remember correctly.
Wow.
So,
hopefully it comes back. I want some land.
On this show, we're trying to be friends with you so that we can get in on some of this land.
Well, I will say this. I actually did get the Pioneer at Last Citizen Con. So I got my 8x8. I got my 8x8. Now, not that I really cared. 8x8 is a lot of land. 8 kilometers by 8 kilometers. That's a lot of freaking land. Okay. So even to be honest with you, 4 kilometers by 4 kilometers is a nice size space of land, and you guys know how big the land is in Star Citizen. So, I mean, we're just talking about in this one system. God forbid we get 10 systems or 20 systems or more. So let's talk about land a little bit. And I'm gonna go to you, Abdi, first on that. Any ideas about this, people owning land and what they could use it for?
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like all sorts of things. We've seen base building, especially with the Pioneer, what that could look like. I feel like orgs. I think we've talked about it on this show, where it's just like this will be something that orgs will definitely want to take a part of, because you can have a mobile base in space, but like a lot of orgs I could seeing having like a base that's on a planet being a very cool thing to have, with different halves for different people and people that are monitoring and popping in and out during different time zones, making sure they're doing defense and all that kind of stuff. But along with all of that, what else do you have on your base? Like, is it just going to be a place where you meet up with people and talk about things and look at ships? Sure. But, why not turn it into a money-making venture? And one way to do that is definitely to commoditize it with farming. Why not?
That's cool. Yeah. EK, any thoughts?
Yeah, with ownership and organizations are going to make good use out of this, because you imagine if you get a few people with 8 kilometer by 8 kilometer size, that's a huge section of land. I mean, you're talking acres and acres and acres. So there's so much land that one person or org can buy that plot of land 8 by 8, and almost every member of the org will have a place to place some type of habitation unit. Maybe not something huge, but maybe at least a homestay, so that they can all gather and all have one place to kind of bounce back and forth. And that's their home base for the organization. And and I think it's cool, and it can come in so many different uses. They can do industry and crafting and farming and all sorts of things just in that one base, and then take it out to go sell it. So an industrial org would find a lot of use for something like that, I think.
Oh yeah.
I want to touch on something. I'm picking on Alyciana again because we want her on the show one day.
Come on,
I'm going to pick on Alyciana a little bit here, because there's something she mentioned that, for those of you who weren't around back then, she mentions it's a good point. When the land sales went up, you think people went crazy about JPEGs. You think they went crazy about JPEGs. That the industry went nuts. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is 4 or 5 years later, you have games now that are selling virtual real estate and nobody's thinking twice about it. You know what I mean? In 2017, people said, oh my God, it's not enough that they're selling space JPEGs of ships. Now they're selling virtual land, and people tripped out. I'm not talking about just within our community, but especially from the outside, they just went nuts. And now, as I said, there are games doing it all the time now, some of them for crypto or whatever. And, it's no big deal now,
Have they ever played Second Life?
Dude, I know. I know.
You talk about buying land?
I know. But I'm just saying that's what happened, okay?
Yep,
that's what happened.
I'm sure that's hilarious.
It's in the past. A lot of people don't know that, but I'm going to tell you, I remember the stink that people made about those land. Now, some people, I hate to say it, anybody who knows about investing will tell you that one of the best assets you can buy is property and land. Yeah. Because people will always want it. And there were some people who ignored all that and bought 10 plots of land at $50. They did. And they got it, and they got ahead. Now, mind you, someone might ask, well, man, does that give anybody an advantage? No, not really, because these land claims only work within UEE space. Or let me rephrase that. They're only protected under UEE space. You have to get your certificate, you have to find the land, you have to put a stake in the land, and you have to register the stake with the UEE, and then it's considered your property. But that's a process to do. Now, if you're outside of UEE space, we don't have enough information about how land will be designated. In other words, can you still put a stake down and say it's 4 by 4 kilometers, but if anybody wants to challenge it, hey, have at it, Hoss. You know what I mean? There's no enforcement. The UEE is not going to show up to help you. So we don't know how land would apply. They may come up with 2 by 2. They may come up with 12 by 12. We don't know. So just understand, we're just giving you what CIG has given us so far. But that's the area of land. So let's go ahead and push on past the land piece here. The next one up, I did a little bit of research. In our culture now and in our world today, there's usually, they consider about 8 different types of agriculture. Some of these things that are listed here, this isn't all of them, but these are just to give you a general idea. but we are going to take some of these that we think might be pertinent and relevant to Star Citizen. So there's a thing called mixed crop and livestock. There's dairy farming. I know y'all say there's space cows in the game, but to be honest with you, y'all don't know what's going to come out of them udders. So I ain't saying if it's dairy or not, okay?
The Star Wars blue milk.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? We don't know. So, we've got grain farming, livestock ranching, and we're going to distinguish that thing about livestock ranching versus the mixed crop livestock. There's gardening and fruit farming, and then there's another one I threw in. This was, of course, not on the list, but it's space agriculture, because we know that there is going to be a dynamic of space agriculture in the game. Okay, so let's go to the first category that we're going to look at, and I'm just going to give you guys the description on this. We'll talk about and explain it. And this is talking about fields are used until the nutrients are depleted. Then they are left fallow for many years so the soil can recover. So that's pretty straightforward, y'all. You plant some seeds for a while, you're able to get some good healthy crops, but there's a certain point when you sucked all the nutrients out of it, you're not producing as much, so you leave the land alone, give it some time, a season or two to recover, then you can go back and plant again. There's a different aspect of that from rotating crops, which is a little bit different, but this is that. Now, there's a reason why I'm going to highlight this, and I want to present this question to the guys, and I'll let them talk about it. I won't talk about it. Tony Z told us that when it comes to mining, you may go mine diamonds somewhere, and man, you've struck the mother lode, right? You're getting diamond. But he also said eventually that is going to become depleted, and you will have to move on someplace else. My question to you is, do you think that when it comes to farming, if we're allowed to do farming, that CIG could possibly do that exact same thing? Hence this thing about shifting. Can you maybe set up your farm someplace and you're getting great crops, but maybe after 8 months, all of a sudden you're noticing your yield isn't so great, and maybe you need to pick up and find some fresher fields. Is that a possibility? Let me go to DK on that. What do you think about that idea?
Oh yeah, it's always a possibility. I was just about to mention in chat that I grew up around a lot of farms, and so I watched a lot of farmers and the fields and how they would rotate the fields and things like that. And in our current day, you get a farm, you stay on the farm, but some farmers will take a section of their fields and either have it or they'll have two plots. One they'll rotate throughout the year, over and then the other, and then back and forth. Sometimes that happens, or they'll rotate the crops to help each different crops will affect the nutrients of the soil differently. So they might switch one from corn to wheat this time, or this time to go to soybean. It just depends on, I did grow up in Green Acres. I'm a hillbilly Gladstone. But yeah, that's, and so in this situation, picking up and moving to a different location, probably on alien planets, might make sense. Because we may not have the ability to tend to the soil. We might get all the nutrients we can get out of that particular plot and need to move because we don't have the ability or the technology or the materials to re-inject that soil or that plot with nutrients that it needs. Say if we're on Earth, it might be a different story. But if we're like Pyro, somewhere in Pyro, they might not have the ability, it might not have the ability to grow in the first place. Right. But that one plot of land, that little one place on Pyro, is Pyro 3 that has a place of land? Right. So then you got that one little place on Pyro 3, this little tiny area that you can grow on, and you hope that you can get your crops to grow. And as soon as they're done, you might have to move. Yeah, absolutely.
Abdi, let me ask you this question from a different perspective. If let's say the CIG, because we know in mining they're going to do that, right? They're going to have resources in a certain area. It will deplete, and miners will have to go someplace else to find stuff. Is this you think for farmers? Because I mean, it's a little bit more. It's different when people have mining equipment, and all you're doing is picking up your mining equipment and going. It's another thing when you've actually set up structures, housing maybe, and everything else. Is that too deep of a gameplay for somebody, or is it just to make it more challenging? Does it make it like, okay, I got to start finding some fresher fields?
So I'm going to go the opposite direction with it. I don't think this will be a problem in Star Citizen.
Okay.
This is the future. This is 2900. If we're getting off planet, this is a problem we've solved. You know what I mean?
Okay.
If we're feeding people in a mass way, you know, where we're big enough to be able to go out into the stars, I'm sure there's a solution, whether it's like nanite technology. We were talking about detritivores and ways of breaking down, you know, things so that you can re-inject and create, you know, the nutrients that you need. I feel like all this kind of stuff, they can hand wave some of the details of this stuff away, while also introducing like new commodities, like let's say, oh, now it's not a problem that you have to move to a new place, but you do need to buy DK's special Nutrigrain stuff or whatever, you know, like you gotta use that stuff in order to re-inject the soil, you know, with, you know, so I feel like they can probably remove some of the complication of having to pick up and move all the time, while at the same time introducing new commodities that might actually bring in more gameplay, and add some modifiers or in some way that might actually make it interesting. So
I got a point.
Like
hey, hello, Uber Nerd.
Thank you for the raid.
Welcome, nerds.
All the cool nerds are coming in. The nerds.
Awesome.
Uber Nerd,
yeah,
thank
you had a good point there. We terraformed Microtech. So yeah, I think we could probably work with the soil.
Maybe it's like a very small scale version of that. Maybe it's like, you know, within the limits of your acreage, you have a thing where, you know, everybody get up off the land because we're about to do like a controlled burn or a controlled this or that, where we re-inject stuff into the soil and make it viable again, because you know, moving is time and time is money. If you can stay in the same place and continue using it, that maybe that's valuable enough. Or maybe you don't, and you do have to move, and that's like part of the trade-off, you know, like a gameplay trade-off that you take. Who knows?
Nerds, thank you guys so much. Uber Nerd, as always, thank you, man. We appreciate you. All you wonderful nerds, welcome. We're talking about farming and agriculture in Star Citizen, and hoping and praying that we know what we're talking about a little bit here tonight. We're just kind of having a little fun with theory crafting. A little bit of fun with theory crafting. You know, to your point, Abdi, I appreciate the fact that you said that, hey, yeah, you know, in that century, we may have solved some of these issues by now, but we still want to find ways to keep things challenging. And the thing that really stuck out to me was something that Glade said, and that's the issue of natural impact. So will the issues become much more on a natural level, not just in the soil, but is it because we had a dry season, right? Or maybe a rainy season, right? Or a season of storms that destroy crops. There's so many things that they could make happen.
Or take this to Pyro, where they're talking about the solar storms.
The solar storms.
Maybe that burns out your crops or radiates your crops in a way where you didn't have protection for your fields and stuff.
And that's what I'm looking for. What are those things that will go beyond just me planting seeds and, you know, sitting a cigarette and waiting for my stuff to grow? But what are those things that may, you know, kind of always keep me on my toes as a farmer, you know, as I'm trying to produce stuff? That keeps some longevity, you know, and also some challenge to the career, right?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, that's very cool.
Like right now, when you open up your Moby Glass, you already know, you know, the temperature, the O2 saturation, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
That's all stuff you have to work against. So let's say like you're on a planet that is inhospitable to your crop. That's all stuff you got to work against now, and that's something you got to pay for in some way. There you go. You got some gameplay. You can pay someone or pay for technology or this or that.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Okay, let's jump to pastoral, a form of subsistence agriculture based on the herding of domesticated animals. Some of you may remember that CIG has actually shown us an idea of what some of the animals are. There's one of them right there. Do you guys remember that? The infamous,
I do, but I can't remember the name of it.
It's the infamous space cow. They never gave it a name.
They never gave it a name. I just saw the space cow. Okay, that works.
It was just the space cow. And what they said about it is that it's this weird hybrid that it does multiple things. It does produce some type of, I guess, milk or whatever, but then there's also a food dynamic of it. It's a whole bunch of weird things that it's some weird hybrid that they created. And I don't remember the lore. If anybody in chat remembers the lore, please feel free to drop it in. I should have looked it up. I was too busy. But anyway, you know, herding these domesticated type of animals. What could be the? Yeah, I mean, I don't want to turn this into, farmer, what's it called? Farm Simulator,
Farm Simulator.
2952. I'm not trying to do that, believe me. But they are creating these animals for some reason.
Oh yeah.
And the question becomes, what's the dynamic? Because remember when I started the show, I told you guys about the economics of all this, because driving economics and trade is going to be the thing, not to have necessarily a petting zoo. So give me some thoughts in relation to what people could possibly do if they're raising these type of domesticated animals. You're growing these cows. What in game? What's the deal with that? Any thoughts? Whammer.
Sorry, Whammer.
Oh my God.
Sorry, Whammer.
God. I don't know if Whammer would have liked that joke too much, but
he might have appreciated that.
I get it.
I'm sorry, it's your cousin, Whammer. It ain't you. It's your cousin.
You know what? You're lucky. I didn't have a good one loaded up this week because I had too much stuff, too many screens. I would have came back with one if I known you were gonna do that.
You just got Whammer to log off. That's what
happened. Yeah.
No, you can when dealing with animals and things like that. Yes, butchering is one of them, but milk, obviously. But I'm sure that there's other things we use now, feathers and different wool from sheep. I don't know if we're going to have sheep in this game, but there's different uses of even honeybees. That's an animal. It's not domesticated, but it is an animal or insect. But that's a form of pastoral of actually raising some kind of sentient being. I don't know if it's sentient, but yeah. Absolutely. There's going to be a lot of things that you would be able to do with, say, space cows and whatever else they come up with. Can we harvest sandworms? That would be interesting.
You're gonna get them to turn the soil for you. Sure. Yeah. No problem.
Aggregate the soil.
I'm gonna rotate my crops. My crops with the worm.
Right.
Yeah.
But don't go trying to tame a boreal stalker. It ain't gonna happen.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, for domestication. Even though I know my good friend Pops would try to. He would really try to, because he's into that whole taming of animals thing. But I don't think we want to try that one in particular. Okay.
I think this is an interesting question though, because we're talking about this kind of stuff now, where it's like, do you want to pay to have the real thing, like to have like a chicken that was raised, walking around on a farm, you know where it came from. You'll pay a premium because you know where it came from, what it ate, that it lived a good life, that it never got this or that. Or, other side of the coin, do you want to make sure that you're not killing another living being and instead buy the grown chicken where it was just straight up from like a little test tube, and it's just like the leg of the chicken was the only thing that was grown or something like that, and then you have a different kind of farming and manufacturing, like what is the pricing structure of both of those different things? On one hand, you're paying for the need to have land to feed this chicken.
I want my organic
chicken.
Chicken. I don't want no test tube chickens.
I'll take a test tube chicken.
That's like all we get.
I'll try it. I'd rather do that than have like a chicken nugget that's spelled incorrectly. You know what I mean? Because it's not actually chicken.
Fair enough.
So these are different things that could be considerations in the future. Hey, there's Whammer. He came back.
Sorry.
Yeah. You got off the topic of hamburger and went to chicken, so he came back. So that's what the deal was.
He's like, okay, I'm safe.
Yeah.
But this is something that I feel like could be a thing that you do in game, where it's like, oh, I'm not raising chickens. I'm like growing chicken breast or something like that, or drumsticks or chicken wings or something like that, and that is going to be a completely different type of setup. Like I'm going to need like test tubes and cryo chambers and this and that kind of stuff.
Okay, we're already dealing with different types of organically grown meats or meats produced in factories opposed to being butchered. So we're already at that point now where they're creating meat that is not coming from an animal. So we're getting at that point. By 2952, I'm pretty sure that we probably got there. Yeah.
But at the same time, like I'm saying, like, is that chef gonna pay for the space cow because it tastes different? There's something about a space cow that just it tastes different when it's straight from the space cow or something. You know what I mean?
Like Kobe beef.
There you go.
Kobe beef. Yeah.
All right. Good point. Good point. Good point. All right. Let's go to the next one. And this is talking about plantation farming. A plantation is a large farm that specializes in one or two crops. You know, they're not like growing a whole bunch of different things, but just one or two things. And here's an example of a plantation that, oh, wait, that's the wrong picture.
See?
My wrong.
Yep.
My wrong picture. Sorry about that. But anyway, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that there will be situations where people will Pops, look at Pops.
Oh, hell no.
So, Jesus. Do you think that I take it none of y'all want to work on the plantation, but do you think that there will be like people who focus in on something because, like, you know, like when people mine, right? Some people, like, quantanium is all they'll push for. They don't worry about anything else. Do you think that there could be mining that's based upon not only finance but also need? In other words,
oh, for sure,
you know, just some type of crop or something that's grown because that's just really what's needed. Maybe some people will focus on something that is for medicinal purposes. They won't even deal with like animals or anything else, right?
Right.
Who was it? Oh my gosh, who's the Soul Citizen that she has her endeavor?
Love Machine.
There, Love Machine. Yep, she's
she's got botanicals.
Yes. Space botanicals. Yes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like sometimes people will focus on particular things, or you know, maybe you're like those Iowan farmers where you're like corn and not corn for consumption, but corn for fuel or for you know, like creating all this other stuff. So, I think people will definitely focus in on something in particular. Maybe it's because they want to specialize in that because they like the type of gameplay that's associated with it. Maybe different crops will have different gameplay. Maybe they just find that it's more profitable. I don't know.
Right.
We'll see.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think economics is going to be what drives stuff. I mean, there's always the benefit of enjoying doing something too. Right. But obviously economics, and you have this cycle of the economics of producing, delivering, you know, whatever that is in game. I'd be really curious.
Because I'll say this, like I would still farm Quantanium if it wasn't as valuable because I enjoy the gameplay. Yeah. I like the fact that I have to book it after I collect that Quantanium because it's, to me, that's more fun than just like, you know, moving on to the next one. I like that urgency, you know, like, so I think there'll definitely be some people that it might not make the most money, but like the gameplay with it just is more fun to them.
Yeah.
Right.
Good point.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, plantation. I don't know about that.
Something about that just kind of rubs the DNA kind of weird, doesn't it? I don't know.
But I agree with Abdi. I think there's, you know, when it comes to subsistence farming and things like that, depending on where you are, the area you're in, you might be the only source of supplying needs of foods in that particular area. So you do have a set for economics in that area where you control the price. You also farm the land, and whether or not you hire people to come work the land for you, aka plantation, please hire and pay them. Please. I mean, I can see that easily.
DK, this brings up such a good point. Do you think there's going to be people that are like, there's going to be like space communes where it's like, we don't eat that, you know, packaged processed stuff. We grow everything here at DK Farms, and that's the only stuff we eat. We don't even sell it because we're like a self-sustaining kind of thing.
There
like,
could be an NPC
you think
group.
There's going to be communities in game like that?
There could be an NPC group.
I never thought about that.
And again, that's for deliverables, right? There's a mission there for farmers who, the quote unquote organic guys, right? You know what I mean? That they deliver to them as an NPC thing. It would be, you could create a mechanic out of that. You really could, a game loop rather.
And then space farmers markets? What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Oh dang.
There you go.
Well, that's gonna happen. Someone's C2 is just gonna be flying. Or I'm sorry, it's gonna be Fast Cards Banu Merchantman.
That's
There
where
you
the
go.
farmers
There
market
you
is.
go.
There we go.
Don't worry, I picked up the supplies from Love Machine. I'll deliver them to your merchant.
Yeah, there you go.
FC, I got you set.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Mixed crop and livestock. This type of farming allows farmers, the farmer tending to not just during planting and harvesting. This actually has more to do with a well-balanced farm that has a little bit of everything, so that they're able to sustain themselves, particularly maybe when there's bad weather, or when the seasons when things aren't growing. You've got livestock as another means to bring in income. So it's just basically saying a much more holistic form of farming, where there will be some people who will have both the animals and livestock as well as doing crop farming. Okay. And I think there will be some people who might just do that balance. It all depends on, again, the economics of it, right? Because that's really the main reason for doing this type of farming, just like the other ones. It's going to be economics.
Min-maxers.
I think I've got something here.
Min-maxers, yep.
Yeah, let's see what was the thing here. Oh, okay. So here, this is one of the examples that they show from the Endeavor. And in this particular biome, you see different types of crops all being grown. It's not being dependent on any one thing. But again, the description that we had also threw in livestock being another means. And now some people may just do it just with, things that you grow, right, with fauna or flora rather. And then there may be some people that do both, right? But that's the basics of that. I'm not going to beat that horse, but I do want to go to this next one and get you guys' thoughts on. And that's grain farming. Whether you think this is realistic or not, because, the farmer has to plant, right? And usually here it says on a grain farm, the crops are grown for consumption. Crops are sold to manufacturers. I'm kind of seeing that that's what would happen with grain farming, probably. What do you guys think? Do you think that it would be a matter of selling grains to a company versus, I don't know, maybe you would sell to a homestead. Maybe there would be people who want grains. I mean,
if they needed raw grain, any outpost settlements, they might need it for grinding for breads and wheat, or you're growing wheat, so you're going to grind that down to make bread. Some of it could be ground down for fuels. Some of those grains can actually be used as fuel, like we were talking about corn, ethanol. I can't really imagine grain farming and what it looks like. I was looking at those videos that we put into the Discord and saw those interior hydroponics and the big tall stacks and of plants. I imagine those could be grain farm, vertical grain farms that they could harvest, top to bottom, and then grind all the grains and then sell it, process it, put it onto a caterpillar or something like that, and move it from one homestead to a outpost or something. Is there? Yeah, I think there would be a possibility for something like that. My interest is, or my question is, where? Because some places you're not going to be able to grow grains. You're probably going to have to do it all hydroponics, I would imagine, or in some kind of interior. Because I think a lot of places are going to be a little too hostile to grow grains outside, perhaps. So
and it goes back to obvious.
I feel like that would make it. Oh, sorry.
No. It goes back to what you were talking about the controlled, being able to do it in a controlled space, so you don't have other limitations too.
But that could make it easy for gameplay too, because imagine if there were, like, let's say you have your hydroponics, then you have like connection tubes to silos or something, and like there's some like gamey aspect to like, your grains grow. There's some type of laser that cuts it or something, sucks it in through one of the tubes and just automatically transports it to the silo. But all of that is kind of hand wavy because you don't actually have to see it all, or maybe you see it every now and then. It's on an automated process. All you got to do is just go to the silo and pick it up every now and then or something when it says it's 100% full. So like I feel like there are ways of doing this where it's not so resource intensive for CIG, which I'm guessing is probably what will be the barrier to seeing this sooner rather than later. Is just like, is this going to like break down a server completely, putting too many automated processes and adding to it, or if they can just kind of like hand wave some of it and put some ones and twos or ones and zeros, I guess, and make it more data driven.
I know culling is going to help a lot too. So whenever they get that kind of culling in, whenever you're around your field, maybe if you don't see it behind you, it's not there. Kind of, you know, that and that way it can kind of break the resources down to just your visual field of view. Which will help in resource management there for CIG. But it will be intensive, I imagine, having like a whole field of grains flowing in the wind, and then you got to harvest them. Yeah, that's going to be heavy.
Yeah. That's good stuff. Good stuff. Guys, let me throw this one in. Now, this is a variation on the one we talked about earlier, because we talked about the domesticated animals being at a farm, but this is going on a bigger level, on what they call ranching, the commercial grazing of livestock over an extensive area. When we looked at the opening video, we saw some huge areas. You guys know what I'm talking about. This is like the industrial level where you're growing, like, you know, where cattle are, right? You got this for commercial use. This isn't for your cooking at home or for your org, but this is because you're, you know, producing 1,000 head. You know what I mean? Unbelievable in the game. Necessary, not necessary in the game. Should it stay on the smaller level? Because they've shown us the space cows, you know. It ain't gonna be no 2 or 3 space cows in the game. I mean, and I'm assuming there's this dynamic of reproducing them, you know, and you know, you're talking about solar systems. I don't know, what do you guys think?
Oh, that could get complicated.
I was thinking the same thing. That's a lot of resource for one farm. And how many cows would you say is on your ranch? 10. That's gonna eat up a lot of resource, not just for the game, but for yourself as well. That's gonna be a lot of work. I don't know if going that far will work. I mean, in some games you can easily have 100 cows in a field or something like that, which happens a lot. But in this case, I don't know.
Or maybe it's just one of those things where it's like on your 8x8 whatever plot of land, it knows that there is a resource, like there's something there to say there are 10 space cows on this thing or whatever, and they're free range or whatever. So, you know, as long as you are on your grid, you know, whatever your what is it called, the grid of space in the game that you're actually on, as long as you're there and it says that there are 10, you go somewhere randomly on your plot of land and you'll find a space cow. You'll find 10 of them, I guess. And they'll just be randomly roaming within that grid or whatever. So, and
don't get me wrong. This does add a dynamic, and that's why I was asking, you know, is it necessary to go at this level? You know what I mean? Is it simpler to just have that smaller head, or can it be a commercial level of that? And by the way, Pops threw a question in too, because something we didn't include was he mentions about fish. You know, now he asks if there'll be fishing, but I want to take it, Pops. I want to take your question a little bit further and talk about, can that be a form of farming as well? You know, maybe not. I don't know. You know, everybody keeps saying, yeah, we want fishing, and maybe CIG will give us fishing. Whether or not it will move to a point of farming and being able to have a fish farm, where you're raising certain type of fish in a lake or whatever. That gets pretty fancy. It'd be really cool. It'd be really cool. But, you know, again, we're doing a lot of theory crafting here, Pop, so bear with us on this one.
Far down the line.
You know what I would accept? You know what I would accept, and I'd be totally fine with this. I don't know what.
Hey, GG. Thank you.
Oh, you're in there 2 months ahead of me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
You know what I would accept, though? If you just said it was in a warehouse or it was in a space or area and it was like encased and you couldn't interact with any of the animals, but you just knew that they were there or in there, maybe you could actually see them or maybe you couldn't. As long as it's like they're in this little space or whatever. And maybe it's a big space so that they can roam around in there or whatever. But like, as long as it's giving me the data or the input and telling me like, yo, this is how much you have, then I'm okay. Like, I don't need it to be, I don't need to go up to every single cow and be like, hey, Bessie, how's it going? Like, whatever your other name is. Like, I don't need to be able to like interact with all of them. If that means that the mechanic gets there faster, I'm sure that people will eventually want it, but I don't know. Trying to be
kind of that hand wavium thing that you were talking about before. It's like, I might have to do a little hand wavium on this one, you know, if you really. Lefty, thank you. for those 5 subs.
Oh,
Hey, thanks for the subscription.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, cool. You guys, you notice the commercial grade picture up there? I hope you
saw
appreciate that. Hope you
Hey,
appreciate
Go Map,
that.
there's your ribeye.
For real. Okay, gardening and fruit farming. Grow many of the fruits and vegetables that consumers demand in more developed societies. So as you guys know, you've seen these when you go past the fresh food stores, the little mini Whole Foods that we have in the game. There are the Lunas, the Pitambu, the Spirals, the Ozas, the Jumping Limes, the Golden Medmons, the Blue Bilvas, and they actually have watermelon. I'm going to not say much about that, but yeah. As a form of farming, could these be deliverables? Could these be things that we grow? I mean, we see them in game. They got to come from somewhere, right? What do you guys think? And hey, you find them in loot boxes. Some of this stuff, you know.
You can find them, straight from the tree.
Yeah. There's even some trees that have some of these on them. So, yeah. What do you guys think? Do you think that this some practicality toward these?
Oh yeah, imported fruits and vegetables. You know, look at Microtech. They've got the what's the fruit and vegetable stand there? They've got the you see the Pitambus and the spirals sitting there, and you can grab one. Imagine growing those and then going and selling them.
Yeah,
over at Microtech.
This is farming tier -1 though, for real. Like it's already in the game right now.
Yeah,
you can take a bunch of the stuff that you found in caves and stuff like that, and if you go to a trade terminal, you can sell it. Like you can, right? Like you can. Yeah, you can actually sell it. It's not very much, but like the fact that you went up to a tree, you took the thing out of the tree, you kept it in your inventory, went to a trade terminal, and you sold it. That's farming tier -1 to me.
What do you guys think could be the benefit though? Some people have not paid attention to many. When you eat the foods in the game, they talk about some games dehydrate you, some hydrate you. Do you think that they could start creating things that? Let's back up a little bit. When you're getting ready to go out on a mission into space, you know, a lot of times, you know, when I played Eve, when you went out into space, you always had to come back to the station. You know what I mean? You had to dock. In most cases, you had to dock, right? In Star Citizen, people plan on getting in their ship and going out in space and staying out in space, which means you've got to bring certain supplies on with you. Do you think that things like fruits, because of their size and portability, could also end up being maybe something that CIG uses as means of buffing?
Yeah,
because I'm trying to find the value of this. You know what I mean? Like they've got the health bars and stuff like that, but I'm trying to find a value that extends beyond just nutrition. Is it that if you eat a blue bilva, you know, you're less susceptible to something, or if you eat a golden medmon, you know, this gives you better stamina, you know, so for 30 minutes or something. You know, I'm trying to find what some purposes are, and then if there's demand, then obviously it makes sense for farmers to say, hey, this is what I need to grow because I'm supplying this to my quote unquote military client who needs this for their people, kind of thing. You know?
Right. If I recall, didn't you do a video? I don't know, you correct me if I'm wrong. I thought you did a video on the effects of different foods or something. I don't know if it was Jake or somebody else.
It's coming up. We didn't do it. We got one coming up, but we didn't do it.
Oh, okay. But you did. Okay, that's what I thought. I remember you doing a video on the nutritional values of different fruits and vegetables and drinks in the game that's already there. Absolutely, it could move on further into giving you know, extra longevity when it comes to running or you know, stamina, or it might give you your won't bleed out as much if you eat this particular fruit, you know.
You oxygenate better.
You oxygenate better or something like that. Medicines, you know, lobster back, awesome.
Thank you for that, Thrackazog.
Thank you for the gift out to dig that. Thank you. We appreciate that.
Thanks for
there was something that Lefty just said here. Scroll past me. He says, I really hope that they make it like Valheim, where you basically have to eat not to be debuffed, but you also build up better performance from better foods, right? Which would be kind of cool. You know, I remember when I was playing 7 Days to Die, they have this thing in there when you go into certain biomes, if you drink coffee, the coffee warms you and it keeps you from feeling the effects of cold.
Interesting.
Just something as simple as that, right? And so there could be certain things like, as you mentioned, low atmosphere, this, that, and the other things that maybe they'll build into these things. I don't know. We're theory crafting, y'all. We know. But, but I do want to find purpose beyond just it's something to eat.
But I like this because, like, I mean, you can create trade-offs, like, let's say if you want people to have an incentive to use this stuff, let's say the fruit doesn't give you whatever ODing, stuff that maybe if you took the drug to do that similar thing would give you, or something like that. So you can avoid certain things by taking it or ingesting it naturally or whatever that you wouldn't get from just like taking it as in its drug form or whatever. So like, I feel like there's lots of ways to make this an enticing thing and then create a commodity or value around it, which is getting back to that.
Okay, cool. All right, we're going to skip those questions parts, guys, because we kind of alluded to that and talked about it. So let's going to jump into, we've given you guys the background about agriculture and farming. Now we're going to start talking about planet side, moon side, and space sides of it. Okay. What do you think, and I'll go to DK first on this one, what do players want to look for location wise when it comes to being on a moon or planet, DK? What are your thoughts on, whether it's a hostile or not hostile planet? What are some things that you think people need to be looking for when they're picking a location?
The first thing is there flora? Whether or not there's fauna, that's a different story. But if there's flora, you do have an opportunity to at least be able to possibly eat, because some of that flora might be edible. So looking for flora, looking for water. Water might be something very important to have around. Otherwise, you're going to have to import the water, and that's going to be a very hefty price. Of course, I remember Jade one time talking about pulling hydrogen out of the air and possibly recycling that into water or something like that. But it depends on where you are. Depends on the environment that you're in. So I would say, temperature, that's going to make a big difference. Growing something on microtech probably isn't going to work. So you got to look at the right places. Maybe growing on Hurston, we're talking about just a small system now, not going out. Hurston might be too polluted, so you can't grow there. Your crops are going to not come out very well. So looking at those types of things, whether the types of environment that you're in, is it hot, is it does it have the right feel, it's all those different types of things. Now on a planet, that's one thing. On a moon, completely different. You're probably going to go all hydroponics on something like a moon. You're going to have to build something, because a lot of the times there's very little gravity. There's almost very little atmosphere. So the outside growth, not going to happen. You're going to have to grow inside. You will have to import everything: water, fuel, your crops.
Enclosures, everything, right?
Enclosures, and it's going to cost a fortune. So your best is going to be to find a planet. If you can't find a planet and you find a moon, you could do that, but just know that it's going to cost you.
That's
or you'll just have to like contract through a corporation
or contract.
Yeah. Let me real quick take a break here and tell you guys. First of all, say thank you for everybody who's here. I know it's for some people, it's an interesting subject, and obviously there are a lot of you guys here tonight, and you're interested in it. From time to time, we do giveaways, and we don't announce them. We will, and sometimes we put it in the title so that people know, hey, we're doing a giveaway. Maybe people will come over and watch us. But today's your lucky day. We're not going to announce that we're doing giveaways today, so we're going to be giving away a Hull A today on the show. So if you want to stick around, because you guys have been here, then you'll be eligible to win a Hull A today. So just kind of put that in your ear for right now. Okay. So
a whole
A. We're gonna give away a whole A. Yes, that's exactly what we're giving away, Sublight. Thank you for clarifying that. So stick around, and we might give away a B too if we get rid of the A. So all right. So Abdi, let me go to you, Abdi, on the next question. Sethius, oh my God!
Thank you,
Sethius.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sethius from Test Squadron. All the Test Squadron love is coming through tonight. Him and Lefty. Oh my God! Thank you guys so much. And Flippy Wayne,
with a Canadian A.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so let's talk about the second question here for you, Abdi. What could be some of the Bretley? Thank you for that follow.
Thank you.
What could be hazards of farming as well? And I'm not going to talk about this in space farming. It should actually be planet moon. we talked about environment a little bit. Could you talk about that? What are some things you got to worry about if you're farming? You know, is it you have to have weapons? Is it hurricanes? What give us some ideas of what you got to worry about?
Yeah, I mean, like you're gonna number one, if I'm thinking about it from an org perspective, I'm thinking about like protection, making sure that, you know, if we're in an area of space that is unmonitored, that whatever we're growing is being protected by the people of the org or by, you know, base defenses or whatever you can. So that's one aspect. I guess like anytime you're working with machinery, it's kind of the same thing. Like when you're mining quantanium, you know, you might explode. If you're the more you're doing stuff with, you know, hydroponics, you're working with stored combustible material, especially like fertilizer, highly flammable stuff. Like you have to be able to transport these things. You don't want your worst pilot flying that, you know, that highly combustible material down to your farm. You know, if they're about to crash land into it and then explode the whole farm and then it's all gone, you know, like so yeah, it's all that kind of stuff. The more machinery you add to it, the more you have to worry about that. And then if you're doing livestock farming, you know, if you're doing that naturally and they are like, oh
wow,
Sublight.
my friend Faith, Sublight. Hey, how's it going, Sublight Spyful? Oh, thank you so much for all those. Yeah, it's really nice.
Much appreciated,
guys.
But
did we hit our goal? Did we actually go over our goal?
We did.
We did.
Thank you, everyone.
Hey, 07 to you, everybody.
Yeah,
thank you.
guys.
Wow.
Thank you.
That's great.
You. I just noticed the line was green. I wasn't paying attention. Thank you, guys.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yep. Okay. Cool.
So yeah. Anyway, basically, yeah, I'm like stunned.
Yeah.
But no, but like, yeah, I guess all the things that come with livestock rearing, where you have to worry about, like, is there going to be some kind of space wolf going for my space sheep? You know, you have to worry about you know, disease and stuff like that. My wife is an ornithologist in Minnesota right now. In the Midwest, we're dealing with avian influenza. You know, your livestock starts dying off, and like, oh, was there a virus that went through? You know, like, is that virus transmissible to human beings too? Like, there's all sorts of crazy stuff that they could add in there that's dangerous. So there are options. Yeah.
There, you know, some of the things I know we talked about, you know, and these are, I'm glad you mentioned about security and protecting it. For those of you all who know, the CIG has already added turrets and stuff to bases, and some of them are a monster to deal with, but that becomes an expense for you as a farmer, right? To have all these things here to protect from, you know, both predators who are human, and then you mentioned about the, you know, non-human predators, you know, whether it be a space wolf or the hungry boreal stalker that likes to eat your fruit, you know, whatever the case may be, right? Wow, anonymous.
Whoa, it's anonymous.
Thank you.
Awesome.
We appreciate that.
Thanks for the bit.
Thank you. I
haven't seen that one in a while.
Yeah, here's a layout, that they showed us in game of this. I think this is a bigger version of it. And this kind of shows a lot of the equipment and stuff that was set up for a base, but these are a lot of the things that even as a farmer you got to buy. You got to have, you know, energy, you got to have areas to store things, you have to have communications, you know, you have to have storage for your grains and things of that nature, habitation, place for your vehicles and equipment to be. All of this takes investment, right? You know, there's the idea of just going and dropping some seeds, but yeah, you've also got to start building up to this. So you've got all this dynamic to be protected, as well as things like your crops and other areas that you're going to have to deal with from security. So it'll be really interesting to see if CIG really kind of goes down this path, you know, to this level that allows a farmer to start with something as small as a very small hovel and then build out over time. Because I know we've looked at homesteads from the sense of thinking of home, right? But I think it's also just as cool to think about it from the perspective of, you know, if you're having a purpose there beyond, as you mentioned, Abdi, how did I do this to make money living here? Then I think that's just as cool. Okay. Go ahead. You say something? No? Okay. All right. So we're gonna jump from planet. We've been talking planet satellite, guys. I know a lot of you all are kind of more interested in dealing with space. let's talk about space for a little bit. And why are none of my oh, I know why none of them are working, because in order to go to space, we're going to talk about stuff like this. Many of you all are familiar with the Endeavor, and the Endeavor has modules on it that are called biodomes. They're dual biodomes, and it has been inferred and talked about that this can be used for growing in space. You know what, Abdi, if you wouldn't mind, could you read like that first section, and we'll talk a little bit about this while we're looking at it?
Yeah, for the MISC Endeavor Organics module.
Yep.
Yeah, so it goes like this. The Organics module allows for various forms of plant life to be grown in a tightly controlled environment and harvested for profit. The basic requirements for farming are soil, fertilizer, seeds, and water, all of which can be purchased at garden supply stores that will be located in most major landing zones, or in some cases, mined or otherwise extracted from the environment. Farming is a labor-intensive process that requires a fairly meticulous attention to detail. There are two parts to this basic puzzle: ascertaining exactly what a particular plant species requires in order to thrive, and giving that to them at the appropriate time. The variables include the quality of the soil, the type of fertilizer, the temperature, the amount of water, and the type and quantity of radiation. Oh wait, dang! That's the break, right?
I don't know. Maybe not. Mine doesn't have the break on it.
The break was in the other document.
I know, it disappeared. I know. Oh my god! All right. Let's see. You left off where?
I can keep going. You want me to read on to verse 25? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, read that next paragraph.
Yeah, so an organics module consists of 2 biodomes, each of which consists of multiple discrete sections, gardening beds where different species can be planted. Each section has growth lights above it, and a command module console that allows the type and quantity of radiation to be specified, and the application therefore automated. The temperature of a biodome, but not the individual sections, can be specified. So if multiple species are grown alongside one another, it's best to ensure that they have similar tolerances with regard to temperature. The application of water, fertilizer, and the harvesting of the plants is done manually.
Okay, all right. So there's a whole bunch of stuff here. We're not going to go into the whole long, in-depth thing on this because there's a lot here to read, Abdi. So we won't do the whole 9 yards. But
I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, I know. But what Abdi just read from you guys is from CIG. If you go and we'll put the link in for you guys. It was the piece that was written, and I'm pretty sure this is probably Tony Z had something to do with this, but it was the piece that was written when the Endeavor came out. So what we were reading from you was that particular description specifically about the biodome. This thing is like about 5 paragraphs, 6 paragraphs long, and it does go into detail. And they talk about one part here they mention here is that each species of plant is effectively a puzzle, and the job of a farmer is to figure out the optimal solution in order to produce the highest quality plant at the lowest price. Most plants are valued for their end result, the fruit or the vegetable that they produce, their use as an herb or spice, their fragrance or medical compound that can be extracted. Some, however, are valued simply for their appearance. And while some of these outputs can be preserved for extended durations, others have a very short shelf life and must be delivered to their destination soon after having been extracted, or else their value will diminish appreciably. So, you know, they're just telling you that there's going to be some type of gameplay even with growing these plants. You know, some plants, you grow them, they'll sustain for 3 or 4 days or a week, no problem. Some of them, once they reach maturation, they may only last for 24 hours, and you got to get them delivered where they're at, or else they're going to expire, right? DK, any thoughts on this before we move on?
Well, of course, you know, we deal with refrigeration now, and we deal with perishables and things like that. Thanks for the follow. But you know, those are going to be things that you have to take into account. So if you're growing some types of fruits or vegetables, you might have to have those in a specific container, refrigerated, in order to send those off to someplace. When it comes to environments of, you know, of where they're going to be grown inside of, say, like the Endeavor, like we're seeing here, everything is going to be monitored temperature-wise, and, you know, and water levels, and, you know, nutrients and all of that kind of thing. And taking that into account when you export that those commodities is going to need to be some care in getting those out and making sure that they get to where they need to be fresh and edible. And you don't, show up with a moldy piece of fruit or bad meat or something. You got to take that into account. And like they said, each plant is effectively like a puzzle. It's just finding out the optimal way to grow that plant most efficiently with the maximum yield for the less amount of money.
It's good stuff. Good stuff. Do either of you guys own an Endeavor?
No.
Because of you, I do.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
I don't know if you remember.
That's right. You bought the base, right?
Not in a bad way,
right.
but
you
literally, like, like literally, it was sold to me. Not sold to me. It was. The case was made that Star Citizen is a great game where you like the PU will be something where you create your own goals and structure. And I feel like the Endeavor is the ultimate like version of that, where I just bought the base model, doesn't have any modules or anything like that. And everything that I'm going to do in the game is going to be to increase the modules. All the industrial work that I do will be to raise enough funds so that I can add to my Endeavor. So that's kind of, to me, that's end game content, having an Endeavor with all the different modules on it. So
okay.
And
that's
don't have one myself.
Awesome. And that sounds awesome to me. And then on top of that, it was just like, this thing is going to go up in price at some point, people.
Yeah, it will. You guys getting a deal right now. Get it while you can.
Get it while you can.
I don't have one, but I will happily board on yours, Abdi and Griff and Love Machine.
Give me like a year to get some modules on it, and then I'll hit you up on that.
Oh, that's right, Pops. You got one too, didn't you? I think you did. I think you were talking about that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the cool things about this is, people have joked around about all the different things. I mean, we don't really know exactly what's going to be done. For those of you who remember the hangars, CIG gave us some floral plants, and they were given to us that we have them in our hangars. And I've always wondered whether or not, a lot of the flair that they give us, some things are just decorative, but I've also wondered whether or not they've given us those things because if you decided that you wanted to go that route of taking those and planting them in an Endeavor, that they actually would be like the beginnings of you being able to do some type of raising floral type stuff. May not be. Might be they're gonna stay in those glass canisters and that's it. But I am kind of curious to see whether or not that's something that we'll be able to do later. I do like the idea, as you mentioned, DK, of it being the process of literally nurturing that plant up. And then what was interesting, they said finding the cheapest way to do it, the most economical way to do it, because obviously that's going to be the other factor. You may produce the plant, but also found out it took you just as much money to do it, and you didn't profit, right? So they're going to try to figure out that there's certain, I think, Abdi, you said this earlier, certain nutrients, certain foods and things that you have to give in that area to grow the plants and also be able to profit from it when it's all said and done. So
it's a logistical operation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And you got to think about your target audience. Like, are you trying to sell to, like maybe it's a Banu Merchantman situation where it's like my clientele are all looking for like high, A grade, S tier, space cow beef or whatever, so everything that I do costs a lot to do, but I'm making them pay, for that profit.
The top dollar for it.
Who caters to 890 jump, Griff?
Oh,
like who's going to bring your food? You're going to want the best foods,
the high end. That's right.
I'm not coming to the Griffin space yacht to eat a Salisbury steak.
This is true. This is very true. Very true. Okay.
Frozen meal.
We do have another question here I'm going to throw. We're on Q&A. By the way, if you guys have any questions, hit the little ellipse at the bottom, the little eclipse sign, and you can put in a question and send it to us. And then we're going to do our giveaway. So let's knock out this question. Pops just asked us, do you think that we will move to some type of terraforming for farming? Do you think the terraforming could be an issue? I'm going to jump on this a little bit, and if you guys have some thoughts on it, feel free. My only concern about terraforming, Pops, is there's going to be so many moons and planets in the game that I don't know if that need is going to exist. And also the dynamics of what happens, like when you terraform it, whose planet is it? Who got the right to do it? If it's outside of UEE space, and I don't even know if they've even given us the ability to terraform a moon or planet like that. What they have given us is the ability to be able to exist in hostile conditions, in bad conditions, through the use of the Pioneer and building things. But whether it would be on a global stage, and besides, what you got to remember, terraforming is not a 6-month process. When you terraform, you're talking over decades for atmosphere to build up. And there's a whole lot of things that are involved in terraforming. So as much as I would like to think it's like the Genesis planet in Star Trek, where you just drop that bomb and everything kind of happens. I mean, they could do that. I mean, they could come up with a Genesis device. But again, there's going to be so many worlds in the game that are habitable and capable of supporting life. That, and you know how big, you said it the other day, Pops, look how big one of our planets is in comparison to other games. So, even if you've got 10 planets that are hospitable or, habitable, or 20, that's a lot of real estate for people who are playing the game. So, but you never know, right? Always leave the door open. CIG could do whatever they want to do. Yeah. Yep. You guys got any thoughts about that?
You did mention like a small part of land. Actually, that's what, hey, thank you, BBG, for those thousands.
Thank you.
As usual, BBG hitting it. But Pops, you had mentioned small part of land. That's actually what I was thinking. I was wondering if it's terraforming could be just like a plot. Like you find a plot and you're able to enrich that soil in that particular location that's not native to that planet, perhaps, and be able to inject something. Maybe you have some kind of chemistry that you found out about that turns this particular soil into some kind of nutrient that you can actually grow crops on. But it might take a whole lot more work to do so because it's on a planet that doesn't natively host that kind of thing. So I could see something like a terraform of that kind, not a whole moon or a whole planet, but maybe just a parcel of land that you till and get the proper nutrients out of. But you might only get one season. Thank you, Macaque Test.
Thanks for the subscription.
Macaque, thank you, so man. Much. Oh my God, 10 gift subs. Macaque, thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you.
Thank you.
These test guys are going crazy. They must be drinking over there.
I know, right?
They must be drinking.
We appreciate it.
They are definitely tilting the bottle over there. Thank you.
But
guys.
yeah, I can see terraforming that route.
That's the other thing they're farming. They're making their own alcohol there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? You can be growing alcohol. People get drunk in the verse.
Hey, Papa
Thank you, Papa Doc.
Thank you as well. Thank you.
Thanks for the subscription.
Well, listen, let's go ahead and jump in. You guys have been hanging out with us tonight, and we're going to jump in and do our giveaway. We're going to give away a Hull A today. We're going to give away a Hull A. And we really appreciate those of you who shared. You guys shared a lot of comments. I was trying to keep up track of what everything people were saying. People were saying so many cool things in chat tonight about this subject, and it's one of those subjects that some people probably wouldn't think that people are that crazy about, but you guys evidently
the chat is like its own show, man.
Crazy about it. Yeah, you guys evidently are crazy about it.
You guys have a whole bunch of good ideas and stuff.
There's been a lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah, go about space bourbon. It's coming.
Yeah, there you go.
Somebody's got to still.
Oh God, space bourbon.
That stuff will make you go blind.
Yeah, for real. All right, listen, we are going to do our first giveaway, and this giveaway is going to be based upon the phrase Hull A, exclamation point Hull A, exclamation point Hull A.
Goodness.
Don't spell exclamation point hula. Make sure you put 2 L's in there, all right? If you're interested in getting into the giveaway, you can punch that in right now, exclamation point Hull A, and we're going to give away a Hull A with LTI. You even get that $9 skin tossed in with it as well, okay? So we got, if you guys are interested, I know that's a very specialized ship. Whoa. Why am I talking about the Hull A? You know what? I'm so stuck on the last giveaway that we did. I'm losing my mind.
Did you do that?
The Hull A isn't even for sale right now. You all forgive the old man. Y'all forgive the old man. All right. Exclamation. Expanse. The Expanse. We're giving away Expanse. The Expanse.
Give you a chance. Expanse, everyone.
It's Easter week. He's been with his family
all
week.
I know.
He does a lot of work.
No, you know what it was?
He does a lot of work.
I was freaking in 317 messing around with the Hull A. and zoned out. You know what I mean? And it's on my head, but it's the expanse. So you guys, exclamation point expanse. Make sure you spell it right. Make sure you spell it right. We're going to give away an expanse today. Jeez, oh Pete, it's time to go to bed.
Someone typed in Carrick.
Yeah, dude, you typed in Carrick. Yeah, very funny. Very funny. Okay, yeah, okay, go map. Exclamation point Alzheimer's. You're a funny guy, man. You're a funny guy.
I love our community.
All right,
I
gang.
love our community.
We are going to.
What a good lot, man.
First time forever. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and jump in for this for the expanse. Those of you who are interested in that ship, it's a beautiful ship that MISC is churning them out. They churned out that whole A looks gorgeous, and this expanse.
Yeah, I told y'all I wasn't gonna buy any more ships, and then I was like, you know what? If I melt all this, like all my paints and all this other stuff, and I, like this one Aurora that I don't need anymore, and then I use some of my credit card rewards points, I can spend $6 and get myself an expanse.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Okay,
walking down the street, slipped and fell on your wallet, huh?
Yeah, for real.
It's just like Chris Roberts got a direct line to my account.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and do this. Let's do the do here, okay? I think everybody's in. Exclamation point expanse. Yep. And we're gonna go ahead and punch it. So let's do it on the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wow, Sergeant Lobster.
Sergeant Lobster.
Sergeant Lobster.
Hey.
Dum. Sergeant Lobster.
Woo, you're there.
Woohoo, there he is.
Congrats.
Sergeant Lobster is there. Sergeant Lobster. Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you so much for you guys jumping in on that and us giving away that expanse. I don't know. AbdiDK, what do you think? Should we do another one?
Yeah, but this one, the only rule is that GoMab can win this one. So we'll change. I'm just.
He already logged in on another account, right?
No. All right. So listen, Sergeant Lobster, you can DM us, direct message us through Twitch, or you can send to soulcitizens@gmail.com. Make sure you put an S on the end of that, soulcitizens@gmail.com. Be sure to send us your RSI email address that you for the game, and we will get that ship out to you. So make sure you send that to us. And congratulations again to Sergeant Lobster 07. That was pretty cool, right? All right.
Very cool. Very cool.
All right.
Very.
I'm looking forward to the show on The Expanse, man.
Yeah.
It'll be good.
It should be pretty cool. It should be pretty cool. All right. Listen, if you guys want to go again, why do I keep typing Hull A in? I can't even type expanse. All right, exclamation point expanse again. We're going to give a second one away. We're going to give two away tonight. I'm going to give two. So if you guys are interested, exclamation point expanse. All right, and we'll see. So for those people who are interested, if you're interested,
you see this thing? The expanse has a little gravity thing on it. Not gravity thing. What is it called? Tractor beam.
Yeah.
Tractor beam.
Man, that's cool.
Yeah.
Man, I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that when in action, when somebody bring that out with the prospector, the freelancer, and the expanse, and just have a little operation going. I would love
just
to
a
see
little,
that.
just like meet up in space and just have yourself a little
mining out,
get together. Yeah,
make some money.
Yeah.
Let me say some shout outs to Vivid Deception, to QDog56, Zadalis. I hope I'm saying that right. Arthrain, thank you all for the follow. Those of you who came over from the nerds, thanks for hanging out with us. Our numbers have stayed up, and we know you guys are listening. So thank you. And again, we're doing this tonight because, it's cool to put your thing out there and say giveaway just because you want to draw people in, but it's also cool to do the giveaways for the people who are faithfully here and hang out with us and watch us each week. And we want to kind of make sure that those opportunities go to you good, faithful folks as well. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Everybody's in, right? Exclamation point expanse. All right. Here we go with the second one on the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom. Soul Daniels.
Soul Daniels.
Are you
Congratulations.
here? Soul Daniels, are you here? I hope so, Daniel.
He's there. He's gonna be there.
I see. Congrats.
There he is.
Hey.
All right. Well, congratulations.
Oh, there he is. Okay. Yeah, I'm here. Okay. Yeah. So Daniels, again, you can DM us through Twitch. or you can send us an email at soulcitizens@gmail.com. Make sure you send us your RSI email address, and we will make sure you identify yourself in an email, and then we'll make sure that we send this out to you, and you'll have an expanse whenever it comes out, whatever time frame it comes out. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool to be able to do. Yeah. So, yeah, I would tell a story about the expanse that happened. Maybe I'll tell the story. Were you guys
tell the story,
were
man.
you guys at
Why
Bar
not?
Citizen? Were you guys at Bar Citizen the last one we did, the virtual?
I couldn't.
I missed it. Yeah, I ended up missing it. Mom's birthday.
So okay. Whenever we do the Bar Citizens, CIG has always been gracious. They show up, right? They've been there. And last time we were there, we had Tyler was there, Jake was there, and Disco were there. Okay, all three of them were there, right? And they hung out with us and everything, right? And Tyler had left and he came back, and we were talking about a giveaway at the time, because we stop and do little giveaways throughout the thing. And they all of a sudden, Tyler heard it popped up because we have our own channel that we talk to them on, and they were like, someone said giveaway, being funny. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, because I had talked to him earlier, because a lot of times they'll donate something, and he said expanse, and some other people said Hall A, and he gave us Hall A's, and I was like, you guys stop. We could have got some expanses. So don't get me wrong, I was happy with the Hall A's, but we would have been the first people to give away an expanse. He gave us a couple, and we missed the window for that. So I'm glad they were able to do an expanse this time around to some folks who can utilize it. So
this is great. You guys are gonna have such a good time with that shit when it comes out.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fun.
Absolutely. Well, listen, we hope you guys enjoyed the topics tonight. A lot of stuff here in relation to this whole agriculture farming thing. CIG. Hopefully, you got some great people there, some imaginative people there. There's a lot of stuff out there gaming wise that has a lot of these elements, and it'll be interesting to see how they take all that and hybrid into something that's unique for the gameplay that we want to be able to do. Thank you all again for all of these subscriptions and the follows and hanging out and the great comments. I'm going to hand this over to my buddies over here. Abdi wants to tell you guys about what else we got coming up. Talk about that.
Yeah. Every Thursday we have a Soul Talk, which is a show on YouTube that we do, right? That's just straight up on YouTube, right? Not on Twitch anymore.
Yeah. Everything's on. Yeah, we're the only ones on Twitch now. This one, the other ones are all moved over.
Yep. So you can find us there Thursdays at 10 p.m. ET. It's a show that the community can be a part of too, which is awesome. Just join the Discord and then jump in the voice channel, and you'll get pulled in. And it's basically just a time where we all talk Star Citizen, the news of the week, big things that happen, ship releases, events coming up, stuff like that. And you can have a voice in it and be on the show. So it's a good time. I can't always make it, but man, if you're there for me, that's the wrong move. It's a good time. Be there. Make it happen.
Yep. Excellent. And then we do have a new show on Saturdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Central. And it is called Soul Voices, and similar to Soul Talk, but this time it's a one-on-one. And so if you would like to come in and just hang out with us, talk about conversations that we find on Reddit, Spectrum, other things in the community, we find topics, we discuss them, and kind of give them our own Soul Citizen spin. And we do have special guests occasionally. And I believe we do have a special guest this week. I think the player haters are coming.
The player haters are back this week.
Yeah, the player haters are back. They were here a couple weeks ago, man. They just stole the show. So if you want to join in and get some hate from the player haters, then come and do it. But we have a good time. We really do. And everyone is open to join. Just join us. Sign up with our Discord. And on Saturdays, if you've got some free time, come and hang out and talk about whatever's going on in our community.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a great time in both these shows. We look forward to hopefully you guys see them. Just so you guys will know, the reason why we kind of divided up things is that this show, Soul Citizens on Sunday, is kind of like the opportunity for you guys to hear us and what we think, and you guys put stuff in chat. but the shows that are on the YouTube channel are much more about the community. And so, as Abdi said, if you come on Thursday, you're kind of like in a round table with about 8 or 9 or 10 other people, and you get to sit around the table and talk and share ideas. And then on Saturday, as DK said, that's more of a one-on-one. You come in by yourself, you talk to us, we talk to you, and we have a lot of fun. You guys always have just so much great stuff to share with those shows, and we just have a blast doing them with you. So we look forward to seeing you guys. Hopefully you guys can come to either of those shows as well this week. Yeah, that's the basics of that. And I was crazy. You know, the old man's blacking out again, y'all. I didn't put up the screen. All right, there it is right there.
There it is.
After we've talked about it. So next Sunday, we will be doing a show in our Shipyard series. Just some of you all have been following. We started out with Aegis. We've done Anvil. We did Argo, Banu, and what was it? Argo, Banu, and somebody else. I forget who the other one was, small one. And this week coming up, next week, we're going to be doing Consolidated Outland. So for those of you who are into the Mustangs, if you're into the Pioneer, if you're into the Nomad, be here next week, because we're going to talk about Consolidated Outland, the lore of the company, the manufacturer, and also kind of reflect on what are the ships that we think are cool with Consolidated Outland. So hopefully you guys will be able to join us for that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's see, who was that? Chaos Reigns, thank you for that follow. You're closing us out tonight in a good way.
Yeah.
Thank all of you all for hanging out. Uber Nerd, once again, thank you for sending your love this way, and all the wonderful nerds. To those of you who've been following us, the Soul Citizens, we appreciate all of you. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you guys next week. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of the holiday. For those of you who follow Easter and all that stuff, once again, happy Easter. Have a great week. Stay safe, stay healthy. And as always, as we tell you guys, peace, love, and soul. We're going to be rating. We are going to be rating. When we get over there, make sure you guys give some love. We're going to be rating. I hope I say this name right. Shakan the Mage. Shakan the Mage. So when you get over there, send some Soul Citizen love and let him know he's being rated. If you like what you see, follow him. And again, we'll see you guys later. Who's that resub? Rice, thank you for the resub. 7 months. We appreciate you. All right, gang. Peace, love, and soul. Take care. We'll see you real soon.